All right. Holy cow. This is awesome. This worked first time. Wow. You can stream live on YouTube. So what's up, everybody? I'm David, and you guys know that already. But this is going to be a pretty cool video on what you're going to need to do to basically sign up for these games, these Adventure League games. Now, hopefully, I'll be able to screen share. I see that I can screen share, but I'm going to type in chat, see if anybody's here. Hello, all. There's 25 patrons, and we'll see if there's any patrons that are here tonight. But if not, anyways, this is going to be turned into a public video to where you'll be able to watch this on the patron website to basically find out what you need to do to play in the Adventures League games. And this Adventures League is great. I mean, it really is. I mean, Adventures League has been around for quite a while. It's gone through different names, through the past. It's been around since the early days. I mean, it's been around. I know that it really started getting organized around fourth edition, and went through D&D encounters, and then it had different names like D&D Layer Assaults, Dungeons and Dragons Expeditions, and then if you go to the cons and stuff, you can do special one-shot adventures, and those special one-shot adventures have actually gone back all the way to like basic D&D in the late 70s and early 80s. So, the Adventures League program has been around for pretty much since the start of Dungeons and Dragons. So what do you need to do? You're probably asking yourself, okay, Dave, now I've signed up for Patreon. Now what do I need to do? Now, the first thing I'm going to say is this is a $5 or higher reward. So if you are, if you're a $5 or higher contributor, then you're eligible to play in the Adventures League games. Now, today is September 23rd, and currently it's set for $5 and up patrons. But I'm in the process of going through a transition on Patreon, and it may go up to a $10 reward. Now, don't worry, because if you are, as of that date that the transition happens, if it happens, then you'll be grandfathered in. I don't know how I'll work that yet because of the reward levels and the levels set for each individual post, but I'll figure it out somehow. If I have to manually add people, then I'll do that. So just as a note, this probably will be going up to the $10 patron level, but don't worry, you guys that are already on the $5 pledge level, don't worry about it. That doesn't mean you have to pledge more. It's not going to mean that whatsoever. You'll be grandfathered in at the $5 pledge level, which is no problem. And you'll still get all the, the benefits of the $1 reward and the $5 reward levels. So there you go. So Adventures League, it's actually really fun. There's a lot of pros. I can't think, there's only one con that I can really think of with Adventures League, and that's that it is not a long ongoing campaign like the Tyranny of Dragons module or the Rise of Tiamat module or Princes of Elemental Evil. These Adventures League games, the pros definitely outweigh that con, and to me that's the only con that I can think of, honestly. But the pros are good, guys. I mean, there's no obligation to join these games. So if you do not want that long-term game, if you don't want the commitment of being there every Friday at 8 p.m. to play in a 4-hour game, 3-hour game, you don't have to have it. Adventures League allows you to just jump in and out whenever you want to play. You know, if you got to work a couple Fridays in a row, that's fine. You know, sign up whenever you can. That's the great thing about Adventures League. You know, there's just no obligation. Another great thing is you can have as many characters as you want, as long as they're, you know, official DCI Wizards of the Coast characters. You can have as many as you want. You know, if you want a dual wielding half-orc paladin, try something different. If you want that tiefling bard, if you want a gnome ranger, you can have those. As long as it's within the level range of that adventure, that's fine. You can do it. Another great thing about Adventures League is they're all short games, as in it'll either last one session or possibly maybe 2 or 3 sessions. Piece of cake. But like I said, there's no obligation. You can just jump in and out anytime you want to. And, you know, one of the best things about Adventures League is that your character can go with you anywhere you want to go. So basically, this is what it is. You have your character, you have your DCI, you have your log sheet. Your log sheet is very important because the DMs look at your log sheet to make sure everything is legit. Now, you can take your fighter, say you have a level 2 fighter, and you've been playing him for a couple of months, and hey, I want to be able to play my fighter a little bit more. So you can do that. You can take your fighter to the Adventures League games at your local game store. You know, if you live in, say, you know, I live near Orlando, Florida. So if I want to go to Sci-Fi City and play Adventures League, I can do that. Not a problem. I can take my character sheet with me. I'll get experience there at Adventures League and at Sci-Fi City. As long as I keep an accurate log sheet, it's not a problem. And the great thing is, you know, with Fantasy Grounds, Adventures League, there's an Adventures League log sheet that's actually built onto your character sheet. So you have a log sheet there as well, which is a win-win situation. All right, so you're probably asking yourself now, how many hoops do I got to, you know, jump through to get into these Adventures League games? Well, it's really, guys, it's not really that bad. It's actually it's fairly easy. And we'll go ahead and I'll show you guys. I'm going to screen share. Going to screen share my screen with you right now. Hopefully this is the correct screen. It is. Wow, I like this. This is actually pretty nice. Okay, the first thing, guys, that you're going to need to do is go to Wizards of the Coast. It's https://accounts.wizard.com. First thing you need to do, go to Wizards of the Coast and create an account right here. Create your account, get your DCI number. You have to have a DCI number to have an Adventures League character. And this DCI number also works with your Magic the Gathering. If you're into Magic the Gathering and all the other stuff that, you know, Wizards of the Coast has to offer, or Hasbro, this is universal and it'll work for everything. Because I know they've got play programs for pretty much all of the games that they have, which is really nice. So that's the first thing you need to do. Register on the Wizards of the Coast website. Takes you a couple minutes. Piece of cake. Next thing you need to do is go to the Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons website. Go to the Adventures League. It's wizards.com/ anyways, the article is in each sign-up, and I'll show you guys about the sign-ups last. Very nice page. Talks all about Adventures League. It has all of their social media stuff here on the page. It has all of your, you know, all kinds of advice articles on the right-hand side, like your Unearthed Arcana. It's a really nice page. And towards the bottom, it has the current season, which is the DDEX5 Storm King Thunders series. and it has your player's guide, which is what you need to really honestly get familiar with. That's the second thing you're going to need to do. Go and download yourself an Adventures League DDEX5 player's guide. The DDEX5 player's guide has a lot of rule changes with spending your downtime days, also with trading of magic items and stuff, because you weren't able to do that from DDEX1 up to DDEX4 series. So, and now in Series 5, as long as it has the same rarity, you can trade items, and it talks about that. You know, take a look at the log sheet, download that, and it has other tools as well. You can even download the Dungeon Master's Guide as well. Now, this is what the actual guide looks like. So when you download the Adventures League DDEX5 Player's Guide, it's in a beautiful PDF form, and it's probably about, I don't know, 30 pages or so. And, you know, it tells you what you need to play, basically what I'm going over right now. It talks about all of the, you know, character stuff. You know, I believe that you cannot play, I think it's still, you cannot play an Aarakocra because of the flying, and I do not believe that you can play a Death Domain Cleric. But those are the only restrictions. And I honestly, you know, I don't have a problem with it, but, you know, it is official Adventures League rules. So, you know, if you're hell-bent and, you know, on playing an Aarakocra, I'm sorry, you're just not, unfortunately, able to. Maybe that'll change in the future, which I hope it does. You know, it tells you about the 5 different organizations, from the Harpers, Order of the Gauntlet, the Emerald Enclave, Lords Alliance, Zentrum. You know, you get rewards for being in these factions as well. Here's a character sheet, what it looks like. Here's a log sheet. So, you know, the more you play, the more log sheets you're, you know, obviously going to need. But, you know, you basically fill in everything from your DM's DCI number, the date, the session, what the adventure's name was, you know, how much XP you started with, how much you got for that session, your total, you know, how you spend your downtime. Are you going to do some carousing? Are you going to live like a noble? Are you going to live, you know, in the squalors? Or are you going to join other merchant caravans and just have fun with it? There's all kinds of things that you can do with your downtime, which you're awarded pretty much every session. And you can check that out. I believe it's Player 6 in the Player's Handbook for D&D 5e. So that's everything you need, folks, so far. First thing, you know, like I said, you need to get your DCI number. The second thing, you need to get familiar with the Adventures League stuff. Now, once you got those 2 things, you're ready to play, right? You know everything about Adventures League. You've got your DCI number. Now it's time to decide what you want to play. So I think the third thing you need to do is start thinking about what kind of character you want to play. I mean, do you want to play that, you know, dual 2-weapon fighting half-orc paladin? Do you want it? It's unorthodox, but hey, you know, the thing that I try to tell, if you take anything from a dungeon master, you know, if you take anything from me during this, is play what you want. You know, playing Dungeons and Dragons is not like playing a computer game. You know, when you're playing a computer game, a lot of people love to min-max. They try to squeak out and eke out every single point of damage. They try to break the game. But, you know, when you're playing a tabletop game, it's all about role play. And I personally can't stand min-maxing in a tabletop game setting. I just, honestly, I cannot stand it. I'm all about the role play. You know, 25 years ago when I first got into D&D, 30 years ago in 1984, in the middle 80s, I would have been all about the min-maxing as a kid. I probably would have. But, you know, as I've gotten a little bit older, I've evolved as a player. Actually, I've gotten quite a bit older since 84, but we'll save that for another session. But I've evolved as a player, and it's not all about just, kicking in a door and rolling initiative, kicking ass, killing stuff, and taking names later. I love to. I still love to kick in a door, but sometimes if I see the kobolds, maybe I might role play with them. Maybe I might try to make a deal with them. Maybe I might try to hire them. Maybe maybe I might wow, there's 10 of them in here and there's just me and 3 other people. Maybe let's see. We don't have any fireballs left. Let's try to negotiate with these things. Let's have fun. The DMs love that, guys. Most DMs love that. Some DMs they're just kick in a door and kill stuff type of DMs, but I'm not. The more that a player can woo me with role-playing stuff, man, it's just awesome. The rewards just get so much greater for the players. So play what you want. That's my whole point, guys. Play what you want. If you want to play, your elf magic user, play it. Or if you want to play your tiefling warlock, play it. Don't worry about min-maxing, because min-maxing is not important in Dungeons & Dragons 5e. The numbers in Dungeons & Dragons 5e are so much lower. Base numbers are so much lower than previous editions like 4th edition, 3.5, the massive negative, Thakos and 1st edition Advanced, Classic, and 2nd. So play what you want. Play and have fun. Don't worry about the numbers. They're not important in D&D 5e. Proficiency helps with everything. It really does. So decide on your character. That's like step number 3. And I know I spent a lot of time on that topic, but guys, just have fun with it. Don't worry about don't worry about min-maxing. Seriously. But if you're a min-maxer, go for it. If that's what you just, strive for, more power to you. All right, so the next thing you need to do is, once you decide on what character you want, you can do a couple things. You can put it on a PDF, but the most important thing, what you're going to need to do if you play with me and play in my patron games, you're going to need to have Fantasy Grounds, because I use the Fantasy Grounds virtual tabletop. And it is magic. It has a lot of automation. It has beautiful record keeping for your character sheet. It keeps track of all of the conditions. If you're prone, it does all of your advantage rolls, your disadvantage rolls. It does death saving throws. It takes into consideration if you made your saving throw, if you failed your saving throw for full damage. It is such an intelligent system, and by far, without a shadow of a doubt, it is the best virtual tabletop out there. And there's others out there. There's RPG with me. There's Roll20, which is really popular, but they can't do what Fantasy Grounds does. They just simply can't do it. And believe me, guys, I've checked them all out. I have. And that's why I use Fantasy Grounds. I just love Fantasy Grounds. I love the automation, and especially for a Dungeon Master, it makes your job as a DM so much easier. All right, so you can import your characters to Fantasy Grounds, and it's on a .xml file. So if you do not have Fantasy Grounds, you're going to need to have Fantasy Grounds, and for Fantasy Grounds, let's go